Grab your popcorn, find your seats, and get ready, because this episode of the Cinema Spotlight is about to begin. Subscribe if you're new, and please, enjoy the show. Hello everybody, and welcome to the Cinema Spotlight. This is the show where we dissect all things movies, TV, and everything in between. I'm your host and self-proclaimed media expert, James Sena. Today's episode is a doozy, and let me tell you why. A little background first. This was an episode recorded back in early June, so this is pre-strike, and at a time where there wasn't a lot of intriguing movies to pick from. But rather than try to pick a movie that was coming out in July or August or something, this guest was adamant that we needed to record something in June. That should provide a lot of context for what you're about to see. What are today's segments? Well, they were supposed to be an Oscar watch, and then a franchise focus, and then a my movie. So, I'm not... you'll see. you will see. And again, a quick note. According to an article from Variety, movie reviews are technically fair game in regards to the strike. That said, I wouldn't say that today's episode is exactly promotional anyways. So, again, do with that with what you will. I think once we get through this episode, and I have one other one that I recorded back in June, once those episodes are recorded, I'm going to start with more fresh content that I talked more specifically about in the previous episode if you want to go check that out. But in any case, here is an official spoiler warning for any and all content discussed here today, and if you wish to skip around to avoid spoilers, you can find timestamps in the description both on YouTube and Spotify for your convenience. That said, let's shine a spotlight on Transformers: Rise of the Beasts. Oh boy.
Oscar watch. Oscar watch.
At its core, the Oscar Watch has always been my way of doing a movie review. So if you're currently questioning if I actually think Transformers will win an Oscar, don't fret. But to help me go through all of this nonsensory is my partner in crime, my 4-year dream team partner. It is Payce Shepard. Payce, thank you for coming on to the show.
Oh, hey, thank you, James. I'm very, very excited to be here. I've really, I've dreamed of this moment for a long time, and the anticipation is making my mouth water to just talk about this wonderful movie and an even better franchise.
Payce, you are one of the people I was the most excited to have on the show because not only are you a fellow movie lover, but you also tend to have very extreme, polarizing opinions on all this. So before we get into the discussion of Transformers: Rise of the Beasts, you know, a very culturally relevant movie right now, I'm going to just give some credit where credit's due to the people behind the scenes. Of course, spoiler warning, we're going to be talking about the movie, so if you haven't seen it, go and see it and then come back. This movie is directed by Stephen Caple Jr.
Quick, stop, run, go watch this movie.
Yeah, go run. You have to watch this
need to
movie.
see this
You
movie.
have to.
This is a very important movie to watch.
You know that lead character, Noah? Yeah, he's played by Anthony Ramos. You got Optimus Prime, voiced by Peter Cullen. Elena is played by Dominique Fishback. Mirage is voiced by Pete Davidson. And it's actually a very big cast, so I'm going to leave it there. Those are like the main players in this. But there are a lot of talented actors and performers behind the scenes. Payce, let's get a rundown here. What you were so excited to go see this movie. What do you think of it? What's your rating out of 10?
I honestly think this is probably the best movie that released in the last decade.
In the last decade?
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I think Transformers as a franchise is we should just stop, doing this. I don't really know. If you have a child, if you're planning on having a child, just keep them away from this, okay? I know robots sound cool. I know that, there's cars they can transform into things. There's toys. Just find a new thing. Toy Story. That's a fun movie.
There you go.
Don't get your kid into Transformers. It's going to set them up to just be... they can't seem to make a franchise, just Transformers, that's not just a bunch of hot garbage.
So wait. So let me pick apart that. So you think this movie is not good?
I do not.
What?
In fact, it's not even that I don't think it's good. It's not even that it's like a fun not good. It's just not worth it. It's not worth it to watch. It's not worth it to talk about, and it's just not worth it to even think about. That's why I don't think Transformers, theoretically, in this movie, is something that you should be watching at all.
I'm gonna say for the most part, I'm on the same page as you here. But if I had to rate it personally out of 10, I gave it a 5.3. So it is like just above. Like 5 is like, yeah, you can watch it. 5.3 is like you could, because I had some fun with it. Granted, I had a beverage in hand. I had some black raspberry liqueur, and I was enjoying my time, watching it. But
Alex and I went to the movie theater. We did 6 McGillicuddy nips inside the movie theater.
Okay, well, you don't tell the people. Okay,
Each.
you know what? Yeah. Okay, you know what? Next time for a movie like this, I'll join you. That's what I should have done when I went to go see The Flash. But anyways.
All right, let's talk about characters, okay? Characters in a movie like this, obviously, if you look at the whole structure of it, they did Bumblebee beforehand,
Mhm.
okay? Bumblebee was a very emotional movie about a Transformer, and I thought that was fine.
I liked Bumblebee,
And-
to be honest. I liked
yeah,
it.
it was the best of that they could come up with this, and I thought that was fine. And it was sort of like E.T., but it was a big Transformer, and they made it work. And yeah, that was cool, but it didn't have fun action robots fighting. This movie, you are just, if you're gonna go watch it, what you're gonna be getting of value is robots fighting. That is really just what you get out of it, because there's the story, characters, all that kind of thing. That's not really a thing in this movie. If you want to see fun things fighting, and like do that while you're with your friend and not really pay attention at all, but then there's fighting.
You could just go see
That's
Wall-E.
what you should do for this movie.
Wall-E is
Um,
basically robots fighting, is it not?
Wall-E?
I
No,
think
see,
the ending
that-
fight
what are
in
you
Wall-E
talking
is
about?
comparable. What is it not? Is the ending fight in Wall-E isn't comparable to the ending in this movie?
No,
Oh,
you're joking.
okay, all right.
This in this movie, there's fighting all the time. Optimus Prime just gets like totally like smacked around like a bunch of times. Spoiler alert.
They lose a lot.
They lose. There's a lot. I guess the problem I had with this movie was just that it really didn't add anything to the table in terms of like stakes. It's like, why do I care at all?
The villain is someone that they set up was an eater of worlds, an eater of planets, and
Yeah, it's a unicorn.
unicorn. I mean, yeah. I mean, it's you see it as many times as a unicorn, probably. I mean, you don't even see the villains are not really scary. I mean, they're scary because they beat the heroes a lot. But you already knew as soon as Bumblebee got quote unquote killed, you knew that he wasn't gonna stay dead. Like that wasn't something that I thought was gonna happen.
Bumblebee gets killed every few hours in this franchise. He's gotten killed 3 times.
That's true.
I think in 2 movies he's gotten killed 3 times and resurrected 3 times.
As he I mean, he's we were talking about E.T. That is actually what happened to E.T., was it not?
You can't resurrect Bumblebee 3 times and expect me to believe that any of these guys can actually die.
That's a con. So are there any pros we can talk about? Because I had one pro. And that was, weirdly enough, and you feel free to just shut this down, but I actually thought that there were plenty of small moments where the comedy actually did land for me. Not all the time, obviously, but there were enough moments where the comedy landed, specifically by Pete David. I almost called him Peter Davidson. No, Pete Davidson. Some of the stuff that he was saying, like the jokes, they actually landed, and I think the dialogue was super corny, but from him and him sort of saying, yeah, the dialogue is that was really corny saying it out loud. I think it's like the movie was a little bit more self-aware, but then it just went back to, yeah, the dialogue's cringe as hell.
Yeah, that part was, it was manageable. It was like the manageable part of a movie. It was like you could take a breath till it went back to, Optimus Prime and there's this monkey, Optimus Primal, that was there. So they added an animal element with rhinos and cheetahs and stuff, which was, another exciting situation. The other thing that really didn't work, I think, was the plot doesn't really make sense. There's a lot of exposition, but we don't know why. All that you need to know really is that they all want a key. And if you start to forget everything, just don't focus on anything else other than they're all trying to get a key, and I guess you're fine.
And this key is, for some weird reason, the one thing that requires this huge thing from devouring the planet. He needs a key in order to do that.
He does. Yeah. He also. It sounds like if he gets this huge thing, gets a key, he can just devour every planet, which would be bad. Which is why the monkey's like, and he keeps saying this as if it's like a very, very important thing, like it's a very solemn thing. We, are here to preserve all life, or preserve life. He's fighting for life. He keeps saying that. So it's like it's a big sacrifice. That is great of him, but if he really wanted to, he could have just destroyed the key. I feel like.
Didn't they destroy the key anyways?
They did.
So why didn't they just destroy it from the get-go?
Well, because Optimus Prime was he was. We really wanted to go home.
he was like E.T. He was like, I know that we did E.T. in the last movie, but we really want to go home. Like, that's what's really gonna happen here.
But he jeopardized, I guess, like all life in the universe to do that. So I don't know. There was a part that I thought was funny. I was talking about prose. There was this part where they're fighting. Scourge is fighting. He's actually like getting a little clobber stomped a little bit, and then he's like, quick, I need some reinforcements. And then it cuts to Unicron, and then like, he's a world-eating alien, and his mouth is open, and it starts to play It's About to Go Down, and it makes it sound like Unicron is singing It's about to go down, like just like this stuff, and he starts like throwing down little aliens to fight.
He threw down like what, 5 of them? I mean, it didn't.
Yeah,
it wasn't really reinforcements. Like what reinforcements would be like more. What were they called again? Because I know that there's so many different names for them. There's Autobots. There's Manimals, or
they're like Terror Cons or something.
Yeah, I don't know.
But I think the problem with the battle, if we were to make it a little more intense, would just be to add some more danger, I think, for the villains. They kind of were really killing it in the beginning, and then once they got the animal primal people to come help, they just sort of were completely outnumbered and had a bunch of minions that just died in one hit to everything, right? So it wasn't like it was it didn't seem like a close fight to me. It didn't seem like the stakes were that crazy. I guess they really tried to cram a lot in, as they do in these Transformers movies.
Yeah, I feel like Transformers is, personally at least, my go-to of, this is one of those movies where you go to the movies, you get your popcorn, you turn your brain off, and then you just kind of enjoy the action. And while there was action in this movie, a lot of it just wasn't super fulfilling, and it was just kind of, it was there because it needed to be there, but in a lot of situations it's like, why didn't this just end? Like, why didn't they just kill Optimus Prime? He was right there, he was like pinned down or whatever, he killed Bumblebee, and then he could have easily turned around and killed Optimus. I feel like a lot of the character choices were just there for plot convenience.
Yeah, that's true. The audacity they had was to just pretend like we wouldn't notice or care that it's obvious the plot mechanisms are just there to keep things alive. Like, for example, killing Bumblebee for like the third time so that we think the stakes are high and somebody died. It's like, do they really expect us to believe that Bumblebee is dead? I just want Transformers to not treat me as much as a dumbass as they're treating me. It feels very disrespectful. But I guess, like, if you have a child who really likes toys and you want to bring them and watch all this stuff happen, then this is the movie for you. But I recommend not, because at some point that child will grow up and then have to deal with the severity of the fact that they are, enamored with a franchise that sucks, with characters, that have no depth, and then they will start to reflect the characters themselves, I believe, and it's really a scourge on our society, I feel, to have movies, even in the MCU, there's if you look at like the Marvel stuff,
Yeah.
like, at least there's some character building in a lot of them, some of them even, but in this, I just didn't see that at all, and they didn't wow me with enough action like in Baby Driver to
like
make
in
me
Baby
forget about
Driver.
it.
I mean, you
Yeah,
you
that's
said it's a scourge on our society. That immediately made me jump up and go, the villain's name was Scourge. Maybe this was all intentional. And if this was all intentional, is it
Scourge is the things Scourge says were pretty funny too. He would just say a lot of like really over the top evil platitude type things. The movie at this point knows that nobody's actually like taking it that seriously.
right?
So it does go over the top when he's like, I remember he always does backhanded compliments. He's like, "You are brave, but now I'm gonna stab you in the heart." Like, he keeps saying he's weirdly appreciative of the Autobots. There's a lot of like backhanded compliments.
You're more of a challenge, but I'm going to kill your family. Or just
Yeah, it's like, that was really good. Now I'm going to kill you twice. Like, it's just like, at least he gives some criticism, some constructive criticism. It's like a compliment sandwich, I guess.
He's like, yeah, I mean, he was like, you can't throw a punch, but if you just like lowered your elbow a little bit, I think it'd be okay.
He's like, that was good. Now watch, now I'm gonna kill you.
Now
And
let
then
me
he
show
gives-
you
he gives
my
some more
move.
compliments. Yeah. So, I don't know. I don't even know what we're talking about.
So,
It's really, I wish I could have talked about Spider-Verse.
Don't we? Honestly, I think every single guest that I'm a little behind the scenes here. Every single guest that I'm planning to have on the show is saying, okay, so can we talk about Across the Spider-Verse? And if I could talk about it every episode, I would. But hey, Payce, because this is the Oscar watch, do you think that this movie can win an Oscar?
No. I mean, there's a lot of fun switching. These Transformers, I'll give them that. They switch a lot. They switch from cars. There's a plane one. The CGI.
Yeah, I mean, they made it look pretty good. It was watchable. It wasn't something where it was like, oh, that looks bad. Like, do I think it'll be nominated for that? Still, probably not. Because I think there's just gonna be way too many movies where there's decent visual effects and they're gonna not want to give it to Transformers. But
I guess in conclusion, if you're looking for like a black and white, like there was a villain and he was so big and so evil. I mean, that's basically what that is actually exactly like the second line. I went to see it with my roommate. Alex thinks it's very funny because he said, "It is so big." I mean, that is really what is exciting about this is that this guy is really big and that they need to deal with that. And if that's something you're into and you don't really care actually how you get to the part where they're fighting, you just want to get there, then this is for you. I mean, you already have to have an emotional attachment, I think, with giant robots fighting, because if you're not into that, there's really nothing for you. There's only one character who they even try to kind of get going. He's got a brother. What's his name? Noah. Yeah. He's got a brother, and he doesn't really have much, much of a personality, a whole lot. We don't really get into that as much as they did in Bumblebee, nearly as much as they did in Bumblebee. So it was kind of hard to feel for him, but you know, at least they tried.
The one thing I will say about this, and I'm gonna smoothly, organically use this as a segue to take our commercial break, because when we come back, we're gonna talk a little bit more about the franchise as a whole and not just about this movie, and potentially what we have going forward and seeing what those pieces look like. So we're gonna talk about when we come back. So don't go far, because yeah, we're gonna. That's right. Can you believe it? We're going to commercial. All right, we'll see you after the break.
What a commercial! What is that? We were a commercial.
Which movies do you want mentioned on the Oscar Watch? Let us know on Instagram at _cinema_spotlight, and drop a follow while you're there to get updates, behind the scenes details, and to participate in polls following each episode. Now, let's get back to the show. Welcome back. This next segment is called Franchise Focus, where we take a movie franchise and go more in depth about what makes it successful or not, and perhaps go over what might be in store for the future. Payce, I know you have some thoughts about Transformers because you were particularly jazzed to get into this. Like, what do you think that they could do to keep this franchise fresh and make it even better than it currently is?
What they've been doing so far is trying to balance the emotional side that makes a movie, character development with Bumblebee, but they also are trying to balance an action-packed movie that makes a lot of money. Because people love to go see robots fight. Now, I think until now, right, with the Michael Bay movies, which I guess are so bad that people look at those in comparison to this and don't see it as that bad. I encourage you to expect even more from your giant, big budget movies than what the Michael Bay movies were. What they've done so far is they've tried to find a middle ground between the Michael Bay just action, 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 and the Bumblebee movie with this movie, and it doesn't seem like it really got a Bumblebee emotional side much at all. It really just was it was like action, 10 minutes of exposition, action, some more exposition, somebody monologuing, this is the key, this is the thing that we do with the key. That is not, in my opinion, that fun of a thing. You don't need to explain that much to us if you're just going to make robots fight. I would rather you just make the robots fight and then add some fun character elements. Maybe I'm asking too much. Maybe that's not. Obviously, writing a movie is hard. But if they could just do that without much exposition, because really it's simple. When it comes down to it, they're just trying to find a key. But when you add this like Optimus Prime homeworld thing with the exposition, it's like how that really does not add much to me. What might have added something is some character development. I know you're dealing with giant trucks, so making those characters would be hard. But they almost did a little, right? You identified the Pete Davidson and the main character Noah sort of relationship. They kind of started making that something.
And then they basically killed off. They killed off the only character that they killed off is the only one that they gave any growth to, really, in that movie.
I just don't know how they're going to make a franchise in the future with giant robots who fight, and also make it so that everybody who, like a critic, won't just like see this as just sort of like a waste of time. So I don't know. I don't know how they're gonna do it, but if they end up doing it, like, can you think of any movies in big franchises that have sort of walked that line and combined the action and the can you think of any? As an experienced movie man, the James Sena podcast.
So, the, as an experienced movie man, I think. So for me, just really quick, I just want to say, I think something that's lacking is a constant main character that you grow to care about, because I think, and I hope that this is the direction that they're taking this character of Noah, maybe his brother, I don't know, and they're gonna develop this character more and have them more as a mainstay, because in Bumblebee we had Haley Steinfeld, who is, she did her thing, we love Haley Steinfeld, but then we went to this movie and we had to learn and care about a whole new character that there wasn't really enough time to get to really love them, because again, like you said, they have to juggle trying to, putting all these big robot fights and trying to make us care about these emotionless robots, really, is what they're trying to do. I mentioned WALL-E earlier, but WALL-E has like an actual personality, and throughout the story you learn to love this character more and more and more, where in this movie it just feels like they're not really characters. They're like, every person in this movie is just a plot device to just show just big explosions. So what do I think that this franchise can do? I think that they need more of a constant cast that you really get to love, which is why I think Optimus Prime is a little bit more of a known name, like a more household name, because Optimus Prime is like one of the bigger mainstays throughout the whole franchise. Now you ask me, is there another franchise where they balance emotion and the action? Is that what you said? So I think for me, there's sort of two that come to mind. One, weirdly enough, Avatar, sort of, because even though the plot it isn't super crazy, you actually do see some depth and some growth for these characters. And then they also, in both Avatar 1 and 2, they have very just food for the eyes, these just spectacle-esque, just beautiful final battles, where it's like, okay, cool, we're getting this big climactic battle, but then we're also getting plenty of character moments where, even though we don't love the characters necessarily in every sense, at least they're trying to have constants that follow us throughout the franchise. And then another one that might just escape me, but I feel like John Wick sort of does this. Am I crazy? Like, I feel like John Wick is known to be like, yes, the action scenes in this movie are fantastic, but John Wick as a character, people can get behind him because of whether it's his motives or just if he's a really cool character or blah blah blah. They find a way to get attached. So I feel like, and I have some ideas of where they can go, but I'm curious, like, do you remember the scene at the end of the movie where they kind of offer Noah that job? Do you think that basically, for those watching, again, I guess spoilers, but doesn't really make a difference. Basically, it's like a G.I. Joe initiative, and if you're not familiar with G.I. Joe, it's like a whole other franchise type action figure thing. So I feel like where they could be going is sort of its own cinematic universe where they incorporate different, like, G.I. Joe, Transformers. I think it'd be really, really cool if they brought in Bionicles or something like that, like these old nostalgic toy brands. They bring them back. I mean, there's a Barbie movie coming out. I know that it's probably no connection, but that'd be really funny if there was sort of something there where it's like all these other toy whatever that we remember back in the day as a couple of young wee lads playing with our action figures. Is there anything that, like, you would want to see in a, like, was there a toy from your childhood, Payce, where you were like, I would love if that were in a movie?
Yeah, I mean, I'm that's totally a direction that if I was a executive at Hasbro and Transformers was really my thing and I had the power to do that, yeah, that could be exciting to see. People would definitely come and watch that. So, but it's probably, I think it's not going to save this franchise from being a little less awful, because the problem isn't that it's just like boring. Transformers are boring concept. I mean, they're giant robots who fight other giant robots. That as a concept brings me to look at them. I think the problem really existentially with these robots is that the plot is just inherently bad. The storyline is not sensical and doesn't make sense. And they, at some point, kind of need to accept that, move on, and start a new world, because they're just making prequels now for the Transformers that are already out with the storyline. Yeah, I don't.
They should just drop it.
Could we do a restart? Like, why do we need to have all of this stuff in it? Because it doesn't really make a lot of there's not a lot of wiggle room right now to do anything fun and creative. It kind of felt like an AI wrote the movie. I mean,
it could. I mean, they could have done that. Do you think that isn't that what they were trying to do? They were trying to, like, with these prequel movies, I think they were sort of trying to start fresh. And like it kind of worked at the beginning, because Bumblebee was okay. It was actually, like, I had fun watching it. And this movie, like, was not particularly great, but it was whatever, you know. The final battle was cool enough, but it's one of those things where I don't know if, I think as long as it's making a profit, I don't know if they're gonna stop.
That's why it's doomed. That's why it's doomed. Yeah, no, it's totally doomed because of that. I mean, if they're making money, you know, that's the classic franchise problem. Just because there's competing interests, you know, there's making a movie good and making a movie money, and those things sometimes align, and that's great, but sometimes they don't. And in this case, they don't, and that's just something we need to accept or become communists. And I don't really think, you know, I guess that's not happening. So we are just gonna have to, I think, accept. It's my prediction that the Transformers franchise is not going to get better anytime soon. And if it does get better, it's gonna be a long time from now when people have time to pick up the pieces, and not that many people are excited about Transformers anymore, so someone can come in and do something a little exciting. Because right now that's not really being done, you know, in the same way that I think the Star Wars situation got pretty stale. And then, of course, you had Rian Johnson in the second Star Wars new trilogy, right? And he was trying to do something different with it. He's an example, right? And I'm sure many executives saw that big, right? He's an example of trying to do something different with a franchise, and that really didn't go over too well. And so, in the third movie, I don't know, well, they just are now deciding for this Transformers that it's like, let's not try to do anything new or different, because obviously that backfires a lot. But that, to me, stinks of, I would never get my kids into Transformers, because I don't want, I mean, that's just like the death of society. Like, I don't, there's something inhuman about watching something so, yeah, I don't know how to explain. There has to be some good in the world.
All Transformers fans watching this right now.
There has to be, like, a way that we can make entertainment that is better than this. There just has to be a way. I feel maybe I'm just upset.
You said something there about we need something new, something fresh. Well, when we come back from our final break, Payce and I are going to be making a movie. So stay tuned until then. If you are enjoying the show so far, please remember to check out the episode playlist on Spotify. Also, leave a rating and subscribe so that you don't miss future episodes. Wouldn't that be a shame? Break time's over. Time for the final part of the show. And we are back for our final segment of the episode, and I'm still here with my good friend Payce Shepard, and we're gonna play a little game in a segment I like to call My Movie, My Movie. And this is a segment I did one time before. I did it on my own, but today I have a helper with someone who is an absolute wizard with improvisation. So, Payce, are you ready to give ourselves some random prompts and then try to make a movie better than Transformers Rise of the Beast?
Okay, better than Transformers Rise of the Beast. Yeah. I mean, I can try, but...
Do you think we can do it?
We can do our best here, I mean. People love Transformers for a reason, James. You have to come up to that fact. People love this franchise for a reason. And as soon as I figure out that reason, maybe I can be happy.
Okay. Well, in order to do this, because maybe because we're gonna go with like the main theme of it as like a Transformers type movie. But let's see what our movie genre will be. Animation. So I think it'd be cool if we pitched something Transformers, but we were able to use the animation medium, so that way it can give us some more opportunities. But I'm gonna hit the random word generator, give us a couple more prompts, and we're gonna try to utilize that into our story, and then we're gonna pitch a movie. As I spin this random word generator, it's coming up, and the word critical popped up.
You know what? That's perfect. A critical animated action movie. I think what you do, okay? First of all, it's not a prequel. It's a postquel. Actually, I don't know what really happens in the other. You're just starting a new Transformers situation.
But okay? It's post-apocalyptic.
Yeah, sure. Post-apocalyptic.
Actually, no. Okay, can we take humans out of it? How about that? Can we take humans? Because that always, I feel like they use that too much for exposition. I feel like if they just humanized the robots, you don't need the human characters. Put this on a just distant planet.
You want to take out the humans?
Wouldn't that be more fun?
Well, without humans, I get Optimus Prime, right? I get the Bumblebee, and I get the sexy robot. I don't understand, like that. No, those aren't characters I'm gonna follow along. How do I know they're the good guys?
Okay, not those versions of the characters, but let's you give them even more personality, and then maybe let's say if you keep Optimus Prime in this movie, I think you make him not sound so freaking emotionless. Like, I don't know, I think people love Peter Cullen's voice acting for the character, and like, I get it because he's like stoic, but it lacks so much personality in my opinion.
If you take humans out of this, I don't think it does anything.
Really? I feel like having the humans in the movie is like their attempt at having some sort of emotional stakes. Is putting these humans in the movie, so they don't even feel like characters themselves. They feel like just plot devices.
Oh, because they don't give them any actual credit. I mean, in the first Bumblebee, it sort of worked, right? I mean, it can work.
It worked, but like the reason why that movie I think the reason why it worked better than a lot of the other Transformers movies is because it wasn't like a true to form Transformer movie where it was brain dead action the whole time. I think that's what like stopped it from being bad. I think there was an actual, as cookie cutter as it was, there was an actual story happening.
But it was mostly involving a human.
Well, right, but it was also Haley Steinfeld.
Yeah, but it was also a human. I don't understand. Like, how are you gonna make me root for a robot without any humans behind the robot? And there's no like it's sort of so hard to CGI. I don't know, James. This. I don't know if this is gonna work.
Wait, what? No, but there's no. Remember, this is animated. It's animated, so there doesn't need to be.
All right, maybe that'd be hard though. That'd be hard.
So okay, let's go with your idea where there's no there are humans in there. Where's the setting? Should we put it on a distant planet? Just the whole thing?
Let's bring it back to Earth. Earth is.
But it's Earth. Earth is fine. Okay, so we're not changing things up too much. What's the threat here? Because we got an action movie but there's animation. So it's like we can do a little bit. Actually, that probably helps with the action, right? What if we did like a, I don't know, what type of animation would look good with this? Do you think?
Well, you know what? Maybe you're right. Let's do it on their planet. Okay. Let's have some no humans, we'll have the Decepticons and the Autobots, right? They can have some sort
Okay.
of like a Game of Thrones sort of political drama.
Okay. So we're just gonna throw action to the fucking wind. We're just gonna go with the political
yeah, but every
drama
like
here.
10 minutes, there's a random fight scene.
And can we have the song from like Guardians of the Galaxy, like the right out of Brooklyn, dun, dun, like the hallway scene? Can we have that music playing every single time that there's a fight?
Yeah, that sounds great.
So let's just do that. I feel like we need a new Transformer
We need
character
a lot
with a
I
special
think
ability.
We need some new Transformer characters. I need them to really
Mhm.
be more of the main characters because obviously they're not going to kill Optimus Prime or Bumblebee because they need to make toys out of them. But let's make a few characters that can like die or like, you know, get taken out of action so that it's actually kind of believable and fun so that when we actually have a fight and a really big final fight, there's more for me to consider than, you know, Optimus Prime realizing that humans aren't that bad and I don't know.
So what can we use to you know what? I'm gonna use the random word generator again. I'm gonna try to get one more word out before Microsoft Word just absolutely.
What is happening? You're using Microsoft Word to do a random word generator.
Yes. No. Well, I'm using Edge was not cooperating.
Using Microsoft Edge, that's problem number one.
These are not good words. Word type. Oh. We could put in a specific type of word.
Well, okay.
We're okay. We enter the movie.
done
We
this
enter
before?
the movie, and not like this. Not like this.
You should,
This movie, they're trying to. The word narrow popped up. So the first thing. So if we're talking like some Game of Thrones stuff, what if these are new characters? And it's sort of like a battle royale action movie done in an animation. That way, having the humans there or not, it doesn't really matter because what we're focused on is the battle royale aspect. And maybe once whoever wins the battle royale gets to be in charge of Omnicron or whatever Cybertron. Cybertron's the place that they're from. Maybe this is a way to dictate who leads
but
the
every
Autobot.
fight is off screen.
Why would you do that?
Every
Why
fight,
would you
fight
do
is
that?
off screen, and then we just see the results. So it's a very, very intelligent. It's an intelligent story about taking political power, and a large criticism of how the streets of Chicago are currently structured in their political powers. I think the more you make these Transformer characters into ridiculous sort of like human characters, then after a while of those movies, everyone will be like, what the fuck is happening? And then you can make a crazy movie full of action that everyone will hate, but everyone will watch it because you've built it up with these other movies that are just sort of like little political thrillers.
So we went from action. We went from action to animation to a political drama to back to action. Now we're back to political thriller.
Right.
What type of villain do you think would actually pose a threat in this movie? Because I feel like this is the type of movie there needs to be a villain, I think, for Transformers to work.
Bad guys are Decepticons and, Terror Cons or whatever, which are obviously black and white bad guys, just for sure bad. Now, I think there should be a completely different outlook on this, which is instead of there just being there's definitely bad guys, instead we should make this more of a Breaking Bad Walter White situation where Optimus Prime Yeah,
cooks
Optimus
meth.
Prime has started a meth empire, and we get to see, at what point does he break bad?
We
At what point does he become
oh
unredeemable and he's not actually Optimus Prime anymore? And then the final scene of Transformers is him, destroying himself, to save his partner in crime, Jesse. Of course.
so instead of a mech suit, they're wearing meth suits basically.
Oh, they still look the exact same.
They-
The same graphics and the same everything.
Wait, what?
They're
Wait,
just,
what?
in this universe, of course, everyone looks like them.
Can we get it? Can we get one that's voiced by Bryan Cranston though?
Yeah, voiced by Bryan Cranston.
And he says,
yeah,
"I
I
am
mean-
Optimus Prime," or whatever he says.
I like the idea of the degradation of Optimus Prime. What they've been doing really is, he's a general, he's this, and
He's losing
his
every fight he's in.
characters. Yeah, except the last one. But what I would like to see is, instead of like his whole flaw being like, oh man, like I don't trust humans. Instead of that sort of like dumb shit, why don't we do some sort of moral implications of being a giant robot with a giant sword? And what do you, if you're the most powerful species in the universe, like what kind of power does that do? I mean, what he's policing? He could be a police the universe type situation.
So it's like an ego trip almost. He's kind of like, okay, because of the fact that I'm stronger than everyone, I need to go and boss people around and just say, okay, well, because I exist, you do what I say.
They actually slowly turn Optimus Prime into kind of a sort of a bad guy slowly. He imagines he's a good guy.
So when Optimus Prime smokes crack, or is there crack in this movie? Am I getting that right? There could be. It's just oil. There's gotta be a funnier pun than that. They smoke what is it? I already made the mechs joke. Meth and mechs. They woke. I already checked that off. I can't use that again.
Next joke done. No, you've already checked that off, James, in the Google Doc with the jokes that we're gonna make on this, that's already checked off.
Or else I won't get sponsors. No, I'm just kidding. No. Is there romance in this movie? Should we just throw in another genre? I want Optimus Prime to.
See, I don't know how you're gonna do anything with these movies if you don't have humans. Because the problem is, it's just unbelievable that these robots are doing anything anyway, and they're aliens. But if they're surrounded by a bunch of humans that are sort of actually driving the plot, it's a little believable, and you can actually have a story. But if you're having robots talking to each other and being like, hey, do you want to smash? That doesn't make any sense, and it makes so little sense that I don't
get this. Ready? You're a big philosophy guy. I know this about you. What if something happened to... It doesn't have to be Optimus Prime, but it could be just, a Transformer, an Autobot, whatever. They get destroyed, but then they get put back together. The movie is called Transformers: The Ship of Theseus. So, what they do is they take different pieces of the other Autobots. Maybe Bumblebee takes a piece of his helmet and he puts it back on this. So they put together this new being in this new Autobot. This Autobot doesn't know his place, right? So through the politics of this world, they have to say, okay, well, does he count as an Autobot? Because he was one, but now he's just kind of made up of random scraps from others. So it's like, where's his place in the Cybertron society? Okay, now this movie of course is animated, and during this whole time they're doing like the anime like thought bubble that happens where they're looking at me funny, ugh, blah blah blah, just he kind of goes on. Now forward, he's running for president, and this is where the sequel comes in. Because this Autobot now has this feeling of, okay, I'm a unique being. Okay, I've realized that I am my own robot. Now he goes to Earth because of plot convenience, and he's talking to these humans, and they set up a trade. They said it's almost like the Silk Road back in the day, where they used to trade stuff. Wasn't that was a history thing? They set up a trading route. So now it's more of The Walking Dead. So we go full circle back to post-apocalyptic, where this, because of maybe the Autobots landing on Earth is actually destroyed. But it's the Autobots' mission in these future movies to find ways to build Earth back up to something. So there are surviving humans that we get to grow and love because they are helped build Earth back up. And the movie and the franchise teaches us that we need to unite and help each other because that's the best way for us all to grow. Boom.
It's like the
Exactly.
Lorax. It is literally
This movie is titled Transformers: The Ship of Theseus, in brackets, The Lorax by Dr. Seuss. That's the title of this movie.
You know what, James? I think that definitely will take off. Alright, I'm gonna give you one. I'm also gonna give you one, okay?
Yes.
An idea here, okay? Optimus Prime, okay? Optimus Prime, first day of high school.
Oh, snap. Okay, alright.
Okay, right. Now, obviously, he's a very established guy, but he wasn't always that way. He wasn't always the defender of the universe, defender of the Autobots, leader of the Autobots. At some point, he had to grow up like the rest of us, and he had to go through puberty. And that is quite, a process.
What does robot
for
puberty
all
look
of us,
like?
as we know. So, it makes it very, well, at some point, your transmission starts to change.
He rusts a little bit.
Hair starts to grow. There's a lot of moving parts there when you're becoming a full Autobot. And there's of course now he starts to look at female Autobots a little differently.
Do Autobots have like a gender? I feel like they're their own thing.
Yeah.
Oh,
well,
okay, all
in
right.
my
Sorry.
movie, we'd
Yeah.
establish all that, of course. I mean, it's 2021. There's going to be a lot of sex going on.
And wait, so who's the lead? Who's the lead character? Who?
Robot. In fact, a third of the movie is just going to be robot sex scenes.
Okay, I would expect nothing less.
Okay, at least a third. Yeah, there's going to be some awkward ones. There's going to be, a lot of different kinds, it's sort of like exploring what robots could do in the sexual way. There could be maybe a threesome, but it's they're exploring each other and they're exploring themselves and their bodies, and that and so I think, and at the end he grows up and he becomes a real Autobot, a real man, and now knows that the world is his oyster, and how is he going to be
And then the Unicron
Autobot?
opens his mouth, and then music starts playing, and then we go to credits. Who are you casting in that movie, by the way? Who's your lead?
Steve Martin.
Steve Martin. Okay, yeah. Okay.
Steve Martin's Optimus
Can we
Prime,
cast
obviously.
Martin Short as Bumblebee, or?
No, Bumblebee's definitely got to be Michael Cera. We've got let's see, we'll have Amy Poehler be forget what
RC?
that other one
RC?
was.
Yeah.
Yeah, RC. And then these are the only characters I can remember from the Autobots. Oh, the Decepticons. Obviously, it's going to the same school. We might have the leader be voiced by Kevin Hart.
Kevin Hart. Okay. But the robot is still short.
Yeah, I think that's a perfect
But I think you
cast,
need one like cameo. I think you need to have like I was gonna say an athlete. Just like give them like Blake Griffin. Just throw them in there. In their first.
John Cena's the headmaster. John Cena's the headmaster, but he's also not a robot.
He's the
John
only
Cena.
human in the movie.
Yeah.
And he's just actually never mind. I was gonna say he's teaching the robots how to have sex, but I don't know. I just feel like John Cena could do that. I feel like he could. I feel like he could.
Okay, you're talking about a porno. That's what you think the next movie should be?
Your words, not
porn.
mine. Your words, not mine. A third of this movie is robots having sex. Your words, not mine. Okay.
That's a coming of age story, James. Also, in what porno is a third of the time they're having sex? I guess you're watching some pretty.
Have you ever seen the movie Her?
Porn.
No. Those who have seen the movie know exactly what I'm talking about. But anyways, I think if you would see either of these movies, let us know in the comments below. How would you fix the Transformers franchise? We'd love to know what the audience thinks about this.
Wait,
yeah, quick
fix. You take the cast of everybody on RuPaul's Drag Race, all the winners on the All Stars, and they voice.
Honestly, I would watch that. That'd be fun.
Okay. They have a lot of personality. They'll give these fucking robots some more personality.
We needed more smack talk during the movie, or during the fights, and I think that this could be a really good way of having some much needed personality and sass. I think so. And RuPaul voices Optimus Prime.
Optimus Prime.
There we go.
Wow.
It's the storybook ending that we were all hoping for. All right, so Spider-Man Spider-Man Beyond the Spider-Verse is coming out next March. Be sure to go to theaters and check that out. Payce, that is all the time that we have for this episode, but I want to thank you so much for coming on the show. You've been an absolute delight. And when Beyond the Spider-Verse happens...
If somebody listens to this who likes Transformers, I'm sorry. Okay, I'm sorry that I don't get it. I don't like it. I know movies are fun when they're action-packed. I'm a wimpy. I'm wimp. I'm a wimp. I wanted something more. I wanted something exciting.
Give us RuPaul. Give us RuPaul. And Jake Paul. Give us both.
Optimus Prime.
Have Jake Paul be the Omnicron. Have RuPaul be Optimus Prime.
I want a movie that's just centered around Scourge.
That should have been the first thing that we pitched. Was Scourge in his own movie. Let's do a Scourge. I know that this was a prequel movie. A Scourge prequel movie. Where we learn just about Scourge. And it's voiced by Anthony Jeselnik. But thank you for joining me on this episode, Payce. And we're going to head right on over to the outro. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Cinema Spotlight. We definitely had some fun with the structure of today's episode, so let us know if you enjoyed and want to see something similar in the future. Huge thanks to Payce for coming on and being chaotic with us. Please leave a like on the video if you enjoyed, and if you could take a moment to subscribe to the show on whichever platform you're listening on, I would greatly appreciate it. Be sure to follow our official Instagram at @the_cinema_spotlight for updates on when new episodes get released. I'll go ahead and shut the spotlight off for now, but until next time, stay classy, friends.